Hello and welcome to another live webinar through Connections. I'm Angela. Dr. Ray and Jean will be on shortly. And you can see I have a nice little fireplace behind me, heater. So I'm happy all of you joined us because tonight's topic is about the holidays. And although there's a lot of joy around the holidays, I'm hopeful there's a lot of joy around yours and all the planning and maybe the people that you'll talk with. But there are also a lot of sad feelings that come up for people around the holidays. If you sometimes feel down when it comes to the holidays, or specifically this year, this is a webinar for you. But you also might know somebody, a loved one, who tends to feel down in a lower mood during the holidays. This talk is for them. Remember that after these live webinars, they're all recorded and they will all be put up on the Connections page. Towards the top, there's a section and it has all of our now 8 weeks of live webinars. So during today's talk, participation is always encouraged. You could always type in the chat box and it'll just go, make sure it goes straight to the panelists and that goes to me. And if you have a question, I'd love to ask it to Dr. Ray and Jean. Also, if you have a comment or a short story you want to share, let us know because we'd like to talk about it as well. So what I want you to do right now is take a breath, right? Get comfortable. And there is just one poll that's going up, just wondering if any of these things are things that might contribute to you feeling down during the holidays, right? This does not have to be a sad talk, it won't be, but it's never helpful to erase sadness or negative emotion, right? Or worry or grief, because all those things do happen and they happen in all of our lives. Even if they haven't happened yet in someone's life, they surely will. So remember to share this with someone who you think might find it helpful. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How about yourselves? Great. Okay. And Dr. Ray and Jean, can you talk? Because now I'm having trouble hearing you. All right.
Looks like we have to use this microphone. Okay. Hello, everyone in Couple Synergy Land. Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays
to the rest of you.
So we're wearing some silly hats, and bringing some Christmas cheer. And it is kind of coinciding with the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. And that is what do you do if you feel sad? What do you do if you feel unhappy? You have the blues during the holiday. And what do you do if your loved one feels sad and is feeling depressed during the holidays?
The holidays, the whole point of why would we go outside and cut a tree down and bring it into our living room and put lights on it, and it's something we've all probably seen or done most of our lives, and we probably don't know why that happens. And the first thing that happens is the conifer trees, the evergreens, they are a natural antidepressant. And so this is the darkest time of year. Yesterday was actually the longest night, which was the darkest or shortest day. And so they would bring these trees in so that they had life and they could smell the outdoors and they could feel a connection with nature. And then way back in the day, they put candlelight on it, which is really dangerous. But the twinkling of lights, it stimulates our brains and makes us actually feel happier. And so that was the whole point. And, Christmas, they use Christmas trees, but all groups of people have some type of feast of lights at this time of year. Hanukkah has the menorah, and what are the Hindus? They have the
Festival of Lights.
Festival of Lights.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really common theme that most peoples on the planet going through the darkest part of the year got depressed. And we get that way because when we are away from the sun, we're not producing as much, vitamin D, which is our happy vitamin. And we are also not as active, when the sun is shining and we are out and moving more, that also makes us feel better. So we're moving less, we are stuck in the darkness, and we're probably eating things like a lot of sugar that make us also not feel so good.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about this topic is that one of our staff members was working with a client that was feeling really sad, right? Was feeling really depressed and really just kind of wallowing in that feeling. And we have been hearing this from a lot of people, especially since we just had a major celestial event, right? Where Jupiter and Saturn were the closest that they've ever been, in the last 800 years, I believe, right? And so a lot of people were expressing, symptoms of not being able to sleep and, feeling just down in energy and feeling sad. And so in closing out 2020, a lot of us are feeling a little stressed around the time of the holidays. It's a very different kind of holiday this time of year.
And you know what? People are already agreeing with what you said about not having enough sunlight.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. We do feel it.
And we all know about seasonal affective disorder, which does affect people during this time of the year because there is a lack of sunlight. So there's a lot of suggestion for people that if that's something you're struggling with, and you need light bulbs that have full spectrum light. But what we're talking about here is a compounding effect. At the end of this year, and dealing with so many different stressors that are going on. There's financial stressors. There's this unknown of what 2021 is going to bring us. There is this shift and change in multiple aspects of our lives, and so it is completely understandable for you to feel unsettled or feel like this just doesn't feel normal, right? And so what can you do, right? If all of us are kind of feeling that way in many different ways, what can we do, Jade?
Another thing that I just want to touch on is if you're going through any form of grief this year, if you have a loss of someone, especially in your immediate family or extended family, and so the holidays are missing that person, that is another thing that gets amplified at this time of year as we gather, or the fact that we're not gathering is also another piece of it. And if you have discord with your family, or it's uncomfortable being around,
Sorry, we have
a couple puppies here.
a couple puppies.
being around your family, then you have to tend to how you're going to manage yourself. When we do get together, and all of those are stressors that we're not normally used to. If you've moved away from your family, some people come home, our kids are visiting us, so we're used to just you and I being here.
And one puppy.
And one puppy,
Not
and so now we have 6 people in the house and 2 puppies. So all of those things make a difference. And one of the things about depression is it's very self-centered. It's very self-focused. And so the more you think about yourself and you think about all the things that are making you sad, or if it's vague and you really don't know what's making you sad, you will actually just create a story to make it make sense. And so one of the things you can do is focus outward. I was just working with a client tonight that she's really, really stressed out. And I asked her to go for a walk tonight, like bundle up and go for a walk. And I wanted her to think about the people in her life, whether they're coworkers or family members or friends. And one thing about them that, is a really good feeling, like something positive about them. And so we chose her daughter. And the first thing she said is, "Oh, I love my daughter's laugh." And she started laughing because it's contagious like that, right? When we talk about emotional contagion or entrainment. And so if you think about other people, you think about coworkers, and you send them a good vibe, you can't send them a good vibe without increasing your own vibe, your own feeling good. And that helps you feel more connected, even if that person isn't directly in your vicinity, they still feel that, and you still get the benefit of that. So that's one thing you can do is, find some time to focus on wishing others well, and what about them is positive and good. Because when we get defensive, we tend to look at what's negative. When we get depressed, we tend to, that energy moves faster, that negative stuff. And so it is a little bit of a push or a fight to be joyful and to have happier thoughts. Like right now, Ray's got his nice hat on, but if you turn that hat around, it says naughty hat. And they are both very fun for different reasons. But if you're depressed and you have the naughty hat on, you're going to think bad stuff, right?
But I'm not depressed, so
So
makes
you
me
get to be
smile,
naughty.
right? Another thing that you can do is you could focus on lowering your expectations. All right. I think too many people are trying to meet the expectations that they had for themselves in 2019. And that is just not possible. So everything that should be or should be happening, that is what we need to dial back. We need to really take a look at realistically where we're at and what is happening, what we have power and control over, and what we don't, right? And then lowering our expectations and really finding a place of gratitude for what we have now. Do we have our health? Absolutely. Do we have our loved ones still in our lives that we can connect with? Yes, it might be through Zoom, right? But do we have them that we can still connect with? Yes, right? And finding gratitude for everything that we have now and not trying to, push an agenda or try to achieve goals that are unrealistic given everything that we're dealing with right now.
I think COVID gives us this great opportunity to be really creative and to dial back the humdrum expectations that we experience year after year of doing the same type of holidays. And so like one of the fun ideas that I had, which I probably won't do, so feel free to go out and do that, is to dress up maybe like Santa Claus or an elf or something, and to go to people's houses who have that Ring doorbell. So it's going to video record you and be like, hi, and then run away. I thought that would be a really fun thing to do. And that was inspired by someone's offering to dress up as the Grinch and bring pizza delivery to your house or something. So that's a fun thing. And one of the things that we're doing, it's a little bit of a secret, so don't tell anyone. I don't think anyone that we're doing this with is actually watching this. This is family members. We're actually baking cookies, and we're gonna make a little care package for each house, and we're gonna go and do an old-fashioned Christmas carol. In fact, we even made up our own song. And so and so because our kids are home for 12 days together, our family's together for 12 days, we're doing the 12 days of Christmas. So but we've changed all the lyrics, we've made up our own words, and just something fun and silly to do. Being silly, not taking things seriously is really great. And so because we don't have to do all those traditional things, there's no expectation to go show up at grandma's house because that would compromise our health right now. So we can do other things that are probably not as stressful, more creative and more fun if we allow our creativity to flow instead of focusing on what we don't have.
So here's a question that we got, and I think it's at a great time now because Dr. Ray, you talked about lowering expectations, and Jean, you talked about ways to be more creative with the holiday. So the question is along the lines of, we're struggling with money. Some specific relatives don't seem to understand the struggle. How do we make this a happy holiday with all of that said?
It's really hard when you are trying to face family judgment, family expectations as it is, right? And so how do you create kind of a protective bubble around your family so that you can maintain that safety and security within your home and protect yourself from any of that external influence and external judgment? That's a very difficult thing to do, right? just across the board without even the added stressors that we're dealing with now. But this is something we were talking about with, a couple the other day. And that is that, having a unified message or unified front, when it comes to when you are about to go out and meet with family and you're about to go and, interact, with external people of your household, that is going to be really important. Making sure that you're on the same page, making sure that what you guys are going to do if you face any criticism, face any judgment, and what your plan is, so that you're not, you don't find yourself in a situation where you're trying to, just react.
When it comes to money, everyone has lots of different ways of managing money, philosophies around it, the way that our energy feels. And, from my own personal experience, it always seems like not enough. And what I mean by that is, like, when we're trying to make presents for people and trying to make things fair, it always seems like, well, a little bit more here, a little bit more there, this should be better. And one year in our family, we decided we didn't really have a lot of money that year. And so we decided we could only give gifts that were handmade and that didn't cost any money. And so some people wrote songs for each other, or poems, or drew pictures or something. And I think those are such meaningful things. And that's another thing that has to do with this season is we have this expectation that it's supposed to be something that we feel good and we feel merry, we feel jolly, and we are bonding and loving each other. And that's, I would say, probably almost never the case, right? And so you can create that in your own home with your safe people. And one of the things that I love to do, and this might be annoying for some people in our house, but I love to just sit in the light of the Christmas tree and enjoy each other's company. And if it's an antidepressant, then I can feel that. And so you kind of dim all the rest of the lights, so you don't have anything bright in your face, and you just be. And we have these things that will challenge each other with, a question like, what's your favorite Christmas present you ever got, or what was the best thing that happened to you this year? And we're generating these conversations that feel good and make us think differently and stuff like that. But finances is absolutely a stressor, 100%. And, even people that are really good with like sticking to budgets and stuff, I don't know if you stick to your budget, I don't know if that always correlates to, it feels like exactly the right amount of what I want to express and what I'm giving as a gift.
No, I don't think it ever feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The numbers on a piece of paper never really translate to, the gift in your hand. And so this time, this COVID period, it gives us a chance to really kind of reprogram all of our thoughts about the holidays and really get back down to the basics of what the true meaning is, of this time period. Right. And so then in that case, when you're looking at it from that perspective, money, spending money is, you're coming from a very different perspective, and you don't have to put the pressures on yourself that you may have done in past, Christmases or past holidays. I was talking to a client, just earlier today, and she was so stressed out because, she has got to get gifts by Christmas, for her extended family. And I said, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you don't get it in time for Christmas Day? Well, you're going to get it to them.
You're going to go to Christmas jail.
Christmas jail, right?
You're going to be arrested by the Christmas police.
Christmas gnomes.
Because that's what Christmas is all about.
You get it to them on the 26th or on the 28th or the 30th. It's not really that big of a deal. But when we start putting in our mind that there's these expectations we have to meet, or the dollar amount or the budget that we have to meet, then it really takes away the meaning of the actual gift itself.
And you think about yourself as a gift receiver. Do you receive gifts and go, that's it? That's all they got me? Do you receive gifts and say, well, that wasn't very thoughtful at all? Usually you receive a gift and it just feels nice to receive a gift that someone has thought about you. And whether you appreciate the gift or will use the gift or not is kind of secondary when you're the receiver. When you're the giver, I think you feel that more. Another thing that you can do to feel better is to dress differently. So, we have our happy hats on right now, and those kind of things, they can shift our mood and just make us feel different. And for those of you who are working from home and are still not done with your working yet before the holidays, when you get there, do a little ritual. When it's time to shut it off, and then maybe light a candle or put your hat on, or maybe your holiday socks, something that signifies I'm now in no longer work mode, but I'm in family mode and I'm in Christmas mode. And I would really, really highly encourage you, if you are a single person that lives alone, to make sure you're decorating, make sure you are creating a ritual, whatever that might be, where, you might sit in front of a candle or a fire, or watch a certain movie every year, or listen to some music, something that you're participating in how you want to feel in the vibration of what's going on for Christmas.
I was just going to mention that because I have a client right now. This is his first Christmas alone. And, he is struggling with that because he doesn't have anyone to celebrate with. And his parents are older, and so he can't go and visit them. And so he's trying to figure out what to do. And so, yes, create your own tradition. Think about the most amazing meal that you would want to eat on Christmas. Set the table, set the mood, to have music going. Watch the Christmas movies if you want, whatever that is, but create your own tradition so that, you are now actively participating in choosing your mood, right? Because we don't ever have to be a victim of our circumstance or of the time period or, the environment that we're in. And so we can choose to be happy. We could choose to elevate our mood and not, reinforce that feeling of depression or sadness.
The act of giving to a stranger too can be really rewarding, especially if you can sort of do it anonymously. And so one of the things that you could do is just, people do the thing where they pay for the person behind them in line at the drive-through, or we had an exercise once when you were running a group, and you had to go and give away $100 somehow.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting thing to go hand someone a $100 bill. One year I was alone for Christmas. I was working. It was Christmas, and I was a single mom, and my son went to Florida for Christmas, and I was a bartender at the time. And so I was going to have, if you've ever been a bartender, there's regulars, and most regulars don't have people that they live with, which is why they're regulars at the bar. So I was going to invite those people over, and then my boss said, well, why don't you just have it at the bar? And if you notice, most places aren't open on Christmas. And that Christmas we opened it. Every drink was $1. And people from all over saw the lights on, and they were like, it was like the Star of David. And they would come in, and it was the most wonderful feeling of shock and surprise for people that there was gathering, and it wasn't like a family gathering. It was like most people were pretty familiar with the place, and it just felt like home to a lot of people. And so if you are alone, I guarantee you there is someone else out there alone as well. And if you can find those people and find a way to gather or a way to celebrate together and be creative with that, again, like when you're focused on yourself, that's where you're going to feel bad. And if you put that out there and focus on other people, and they can be complete strangers, they can be other people that you know are alone, and you can invite them or see if there's anything that you can do to help make their Christmas brighter, even if it's a surprise, like dress up like an elf and say hello. So, it really is about choosing. You don't just have to say, well, this is how it is and accept it. You can choose to do anything different. And, one of the things also that I've done is go down to Lake Michigan and, watch the sunrise. and allow yourself to really commune with yourself in nature and to have your own type of spiritual experience. If you look at a lot of cultures, they created something to have a spiritual experience, and it usually had to do with dressing up in some way, and they paint their faces and put on their costumes that were elaborate for things, and then they would play music and they would move. They would have certain movements that they did, and those things create a spiritual experience. So you can certainly put on some music and dance and singing loud for all to hear brings the Christmas cheer. Who said that?
It's the other way around, but it's Elf. Yeah, who said that?
So, you know what, you both are giving, I think, everybody some great ideas, right? And I love the idea about the sunrise because that's something you could do this year during COVID. Okay, that is safe, right? Relatively safe. That's within regulations. So somebody else had said this year, since they are not going to be around their own parents, right? They remembered something from when they were a little kid, and it was always a tradition within the family to go to the movies. And this was, and thank you for the comment, right, and the participation. I will add that most people see a movie, a lot of people see a movie on Christmas Day, but this person is sharing their story of seeing a movie because there wasn't another house, like a home that they could celebrate in, right? So their parent always took them to the movie theater and they might get something to eat. So now how they're trying to recreate that for themselves as an adult and their partner this year is they are just watching all the movies. They're making plans to watch a movie every night, you know, and that reminds this person of that nice tradition with their parent when they were younger, which they can't really do this year.
That is an awesome idea. Yes, it reminds me of one of our other clients who, put a sheet out in their backyard, and they had a little fire pit, and they did like a projector, and they watched movies together all snuggled up, and yeah, things like that, they put a smile on your face, right? That you are activating all of your senses at once, and it is an amazing feeling, and it brings that that joy within yourself. And don't get me wrong, when you're in that place of feeling really sad and really low, the last thing you want to do is try to get yourself out of it. It's very hard to get out of there. It's like, after you've stopped working out or going to the gym, and you just keep saying to yourself, I should go to the gym, I should work out, but you just don't, right? Because you just feel stuck in it. And it's like this tar that keeps you really held down and stuck. And it is very difficult to pull yourself out, but in the beginning, sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. Sometimes you have to get that motion going before you can actually start to reap some of that rewards of feeling that joy start to spark within you and that happiness start to spark within you, and it takes time.
Yeah, there's a concept of doing sad well, and so there's some rituals you can do around that just allow you to honor where you're at, especially if you've gone through a big loss and you're feeling the weight of that, and so you might want to have some candles that smell good. You might want to take a bath. You might want to have nice music playing in the background, comfortable clothes to wear. It's always lovely to have a good cry if you need to have a good cry. That's a great emotional release. I don't know if you've ever cried till you laughed, but that's what I'm talking about, that really letting it out. And just honor yourself where you're at and don't resist it. And don't fake it, and put on your smiley face and go do stuff. Allow yourself to be where you're at, but if anything you're trying to do, and anytime you're getting really conscious of something, you will shift whatever you're feeling. And if you've been meditating with us, you'll notice that maybe during the meditation, your mind's racing, or, you can't really focus and your breathing is all over the place. And you feel like, oh, this didn't go very well. But then maybe an hour later or 30 minutes later, you're like, I think I feel calmer. And that's because our bodies, even the trying of it reduces some of the stress chemicals and increases some of the melatonin that, that we release when we relax, that allows us to feel calmer and turns into serotonin, which is antidepressant.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will say, I don't do well when I meditate. I'm not good at it. And that's what they're talking about. And that's just, it's just a false thing. That the truth is that we're supposed to be good at it.
Mhm.
I've been meditating for about 25, probably 30 years. And I sometimes still have the racing thoughts and not able to sit still, and it's uncomfortable just based on what's going on. It can be going on astrologically, it can be going on with stress, it can be going on with discord with people. It's not always a comfortable thing. So don't think that's the goal.
Mhm.
The only goal of meditation is to become an observer of yourself. And so allow the process to work and just observe it, and it will change you
Mhm.
for better or for worse. It might make things worse sometimes. But even that is an advantage, because it's just bringing stuff up. It's being squeezed up to the surface and allowing something to release. So that's okay.
Mhm.
So really give yourself permission to just accept yourself where you're at, and to ask yourself the question of, what can I do? What can I do? And then do it.
When I meditate, I also sometimes don't have thoughts of, you know, racing thoughts and racing mind and all that. So most of the time, I've got that going on in my head. So it is definitely a practice, right? And
Mhm.
again, back to lowering your expectations. If you go into meditation, or if you go into any of these interventions of trying to bring joy and happiness into your life, don't have the expectation that it's going to be fixed like that. It just doesn't work that way, right? And it is something that you have to do consistently over time. And if you think about, if you are focusing on just one or two happy thoughts, an hour, and then if you, by the end of the day, you've done that, you've got a lot of time there that you've spent on creating happy thoughts in your life. And then if you do that the next day and the next day, soon you have a week full of those happy thoughts, right? And so what we focus on grows. And if we are really focusing on creating that and putting energy towards that, then we are going to reap the benefits of that. And we talked about in other past, webinars, that negative emotions, right? Negative thoughts, they travel faster and have much more of an impact than positive thinking and positive thoughts. We have to actually try very hard, because our brain is designed to focus on negative things. It's designed to focus on threats. You know, sociologists believe that people who have depression have actually a realistic view of the world.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, if you think about the world and the way things are, the
Okay, just a little slow, a little lag for all of us right now. We're about halfway through, and I'm sure they will come back on in just 1 second where we could hear them a little bit clearer. So remember, if you had any thoughts about anything that Dr. Ray and Jean are saying, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A, and we appreciate all the participation so far. Let me go ahead, and so at least you can see me for now. They'll be on in just one moment. Thank you for understanding. Technology, doesn't always work perfectly for all of us. But I think you should all stick around for when they come back on, because they are going to always end with a meditation. some of the things they're talking about, this low mood, maybe a depressed feeling, I realize they're a little hard. And I'm going to ask them a question that is even a more difficult topic to talk about. So if you've had any of these feelings, or if you love someone who has these feelings at this time in the year, the meditation, I hope, will bring us all a little more centered and a little more calm and a little bit more peace. Oh, right, you're back. So, you know what? We're at the 35 mark, and I think it's time to ask you a question that we got.
That sounds
okay?
awesome, man. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And let me just go ahead and spotlight you two while I ask you. So I'm going to read it as it was posed, okay?
Okay.
This year, I lost a loved one due to COVID. I feel like I've grieved. I am moving forward. It hurts and it's gotten better, but it is so hard to focus on Christmas right now. Do you have any suggestions for simple things I can do to make this time a little easier?
I would say screw Christmas. You don't have to participate. Last year, my cousin went through this. Her son had committed suicide, and we knew there was nothing we could do to help her. And we did go and sing some Christmas carols. And I think I made up a song that said, I don't remember now what it said, but something like, because we knew this year was going to suck. And I think it's important to honor that. And I think that is a true testimony of what grief actually represents, is that you have lost someone that you have loved. And so if you don't want to experience grief, then just shut your heart and don't love anyone anymore. And or you stay open and vulnerable and know that it's going to hurt. It is going to hurt. Every relationship has a beginning and has an end. And it does suck, and you can honor that and let yourself be really selfish. And if I've seen people going through grief, and other people sometimes make it harder for them because they are uncomfortable with their grief, and so they say, "Why don't you come to my house for dinner? Or let's meet for coffee." And they don't want to. They want to be alone. They want to feel their grief. They want to only be with people that they really feel good with. And so do that. Do what you want. Do what you need during this time. And if you don't feel like celebrating, don't celebrate. Don't muscle through it. Allow those feelings to flow, because that's how they're going to find balance. And if other people need you to be something different and you can't be that, then just distance yourself. You don't have to pick up your phone. I know that's weird that we could say that, but you don't have to. You don't have to expose yourself to stuff. And hopefully we're not talking about a situation where you're so much in grief that you're actually in a place where you're in danger, of hurting yourself in some way. But what we're talking about is that grief of feel your pain. And you know what? Feel your pain in a way that says, this pain means I loved. That's what it means.
First off, I just want to say I'm truly sorry for your loss. I have a good friend of mine who lost his dad to COVID this year. We have 2 staff members that lost family members to COVID this year. And, this Christmas is going to be very different. Fact of the matter is, it is going to be very, very different. And so you can't expect it to be the way that it has always been, right? And many times if you try to do that, you feel like you're dishonoring, your loved one, like you're trying to just move on and forget them. And that's not the case. This is a time to actually celebrate them, right? And so, I don't Jesus Christmas, but what we're saying really is make it a priority, to honor them, to honor your loved ones, and to really put that energy, into gratefulness that you had that relationship with them and you had that time with them, right? because every relationship has a beginning and an end, as Jean said. And the goal of every relationship is to learn what we're supposed to learn from them with the time that we have with them. So again, lower those expectations. You don't have to put on some traditional Christmas or celebration. Make this celebration about your loved ones.
Yeah, every relationship does have an ending, but love does not. And no matter where we go after we die, we never, ever can take away the experience we had with another being and the connection that we have. And if you look behind us, we have a little altar, and everything on there is somebody who has passed. And it's a way to, they're in spirit world. And when we are connecting to the spirit world, we also want to be connected to them. And so know that love never dies. That love will continue on. And whatever happens after we die, which none of us get to know except those that have crossed over, I think things make more sense when we get there. So, you know, some traditions people do is like they eat the food of the favorite food of what the person really enjoyed, or they find other ways to make those meaningful connections. And if it sucks, let it suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Shall
Ange, if there aren't any other questions, we're going to go into meditation.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thought we lost you there for a second.
So go ahead and sit with your spine straight and just gently close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that in the center of your body, in the center between your feet and your head, and in the center left and right, and in the center front and back, right in the center of you, is a candle with a glowing flame. And imagine that flame being visible in the darkness as we go through this dark time. And imagine that you can see the flame of those people that you live with, the people who live in your neighborhood, the people who you're meditating with right now. And if we all got together, there would be plenty of illumination, warming up the darkness. Imagine for a moment that wherever you are, how far away could someone be and you could still see that light burning inside of them? Something you cannot see in daylight. It is in the darkness where we have the opportunity to shine the most. And you can be that candle, that light, that flame for someone else. And as you interact with the world, you can make a conscious effort to look at people, acknowledge them, and wish them well during this time. It's easy to feel good when the sun is shining and the days are long. But the real testimony of being a spiritual being in these earthly bodies is surviving through the darkness and the rich lessons that wait for us there. The lessons and the teachings of our pain. And I want you to think about pain as a seed. And as that seed cracks open, that's the greatest amount of pain you can be in. It's life calling for itself for you to grow. And welcome that pain. Welcome that pain as a growth opportunity. And know that the more you grow, the less pain you experience. The more you soften into acceptance of life's changes and the pains of transformation, the pain of growth, the more gentle your lessons become. The more you think about other people as you move through the dark times, the more you illuminate and hold the light for them, the better you also feel. And right now, as we sit in the darkness, I want you to think about one person. This can be a person living or a person that's passed. And make a commitment to find a way to meaningfully celebrate that person as anonymously as you can, just to wish them well. And there's a Sanskrit chant that you can chant to help yourself hold this vibration and hold this illumination. This is the most often chanted chant. And the words are simple. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om is the connection to our third eye, our connection to the universal. Mani is our heart center. Padme is reaching down into the ambrosia of life, scooping up a bucket of that ambrosia and pouring it into our heart. And as I chant the chant, imagine that visualization of that energy flowing from your mind to your heart to the earth, scooping up that ambrosia and dumping it into your heart. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And as you continue to chant that chant silently to yourself, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. See that light inside of you grow as you bring the light of the sun inside your solar plexus, in the center of your body. And as you allow yourself to fill up with this light, this vibration, this frequency, know that you reflect that light back out into the world. Be the light that's needed at this time. Care for each other. Care for yourself. And focus on that light inside of you once again. And know how much brighter it is as you allow yourself to feel lighter. And imagine that brightness in each of the persons that are meditating with us tonight. And watch that light spread, just like a candle lighting another candle. It doesn't lose any of its vibration. It only gives light and doubles it. And imagine that light going out into the world, through your community, through your families, to all living things. Find a sense of gratitude for not being alone in the darkness. And if you are by yourself, make sure you are with yourself. You can never be alone if you're always with yourself. Let it start there. And consciously choose the more painful thing of reaching out and helping others feel good. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. And with your next exhalation, push all of the air out of your lungs as you wait for your inhalation to be a reflex. Take a deep cleansing breath. Honor the journey that you're on, even if it's dark and sad. Know that you are having a wonderful human experience, alive on planet Earth, on December 22nd, 2020. Find gratitude for that life and make a commitment to create a purposeful life. A life in service, caring and thinking about others. And as you find that light and that peace inside, allow your eyes to gently begin to open. Be aware of where you are right now on planet Earth. Find a sense of gratitude for your life and ask to be used in service to all of humanity. Peace on earth. These are very profound times, and I'm honored to share them with all of you.
On behalf of Jean and I want to thank you so much for being part of Connections, and we want to wish you and your loved ones a beautiful, wonderful, joyous, and happy Christmas. And next Tuesday, the weekly webinar, we are actually going to be doing a kind of a cleansing webinar, and that'll be kind of putting 2020 kind of behind us, letting go of everything in 2020 and creating 2021 and being part of participating in that.
And if you know someone who could benefit from that, have them join us. It's a really powerful thing to do, to get really conscious about your life.
And I want to do a shout out to one of my clients who actually got engaged yesterday. So congratulations.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a wonderful, wonderful news.
Okay.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.